Hello, sports fans. This is Dale Woods. I'm here with Anthony Wilson. Before we get started, just a reminder to hit that subscribe button next to the Complete Podcast Network and to follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at TC Pod Network. You can also send feedback and mailbag questions to CompleteLakersPodcast@gmail.com. Wilson, what do you have for the listeners today?
Hey Dale. So tonight I wanted to get into what Caleb Williams showed in his 2025 preseason debut for the Bears, who hosted the Bills tonight in at Soldier Field in Chicago. They won by a score of 38-0. Of course, it's just a preseason, so there's not much to be taken from the result or really anything that happened in a game like tonight, where the Bills didn't play any of their starters, and the Bears only played theirs for the first two series. But Caleb Williams, he did some things that looked promising. It was 6 of 10 for 107 yards, and threw a 37-yard touchdown pass to Olamide Zaccheaus. I hope that's how you say his name. And I only saw one actual play, which was a touchdown pass to Zaccheaus, and it just jumped off the screen so much that I just had to talk about it because if you watch, Caleb Williams is the guy who I watched at USC. First of all, of course, he started at Oklahoma and transferred to USC when Lincoln Riley left Oklahoma to take the USC job. Won the Heisman Trophy as a sophomore at USC, and then was the number one pick overall in the 2023 NFL draft. And last year as a rookie, numbers wise, he was okay, but the Bears were just a complete mess. They ended up firing Matt Eberflus during the season, and also replacing their offensive coordinator, Shane Waldron, and I forgot who the guy they ended up being the interim or whatever who replaced Waldron. But Williams. The Bears just. They just the offense. I think they only won like 4-13. I don't know what their record was, but the offense was it was a mess, as I said, the whole season basically. And I remember guys, the talking heads talking about it and talking about how poorly the offense was designed. How they would have receivers, like basically running in the same direction, basically like congested, uh, and that it was poorly conceived. And when I watched that pass tonight, that's the thing that jumped on the screen. Obviously, Ben Johnson, uh, who came over from Detroit, he had been the offensive coordinator for them. The last, I don't know how many years, but of course the last 2 years when they had two of the best seasons the Lions have had in so long, making the conference championship game 2 years ago, and then last year I think they won, what was it, 13 or 14 games. And Ben Johnson became hailed as this brilliant offensive play caller and play designer, and you can really see it, man. Uh, you think about Jared Goff when he was with the Rams. Sean McVay is considered pretty much like a genius, right, of offense and coaching quarterbacks. But I don't. I'm in LA. So the Rams are the local most popular team here. Nothing against the Chargers, but the Rams are the most popular team here, and I can't say that even Sean McVay, his play calls and his play designs are as beautiful as Ben Johnson's. Ben Johnson, and number one, the Lions, they ran the ball, right. That's their mentality. That's the way they play. but also Jared Goff, the way he just really excelled under the way that Jared Goff played that first year under Sean McVay when the Rams made the Super Bowl. Uh, that was pretty much how he played the last 2 years under Ben Johnson. And to look at the 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 touchdown pass line, I mean, the thing that just sticks out is just how smooth it looked. The route, the throw, the run, the spacing. It just looked really good, man. And Caleb Williams is a talented kid. At USC, he was. If you watch the games, a lot of the talk would be about how smart he is. Like his brain is like a computer. And of course Lincoln Riley historically has been kind of basically like the Ben Johnson of college football as far as somebody who can design plays and work with quarterbacks and stuff like that. And they worked well together. USC had that great first year where they started 11-1, I think it was, or 10-1, and they lost the last two games. But before that, we're in line to actually make the playoff. But and then the year after that, they they sputtered. But you look at it, and then you look at, like I said last year, when the Bears were just a complete mess offensively. But that doesn't change what Caleb Williams' high end ceiling is. This is somebody who can make any throw. He can do anything out there on the football field. He can scramble. He can extend plays. And as I said, numbers wise, as bad as the Bears look, um, his numbers were not that bad. He threw 20 touchdowns and 6 interceptions, threw for 3,500 yards, completed 63% of his passes, and he had weapons for a rookie quarterback. But I mean, just look at this. At what I mean, there wasn't a single play last year that was as clean and as smooth as the touchdown pass that he threw tonight. And yeah, I just think that I know Bears fans I saw some on social media, already. Just I mean, they're so excited because of how they looked out there. And the thing I just think that if all Ben Johnson does is install the very same offense that he ran with the Lions, I assume that's what he's doing. And Caleb Williams, the thing about it is that Caleb Williams, I said, somebody who's his brain is a supercomputer, right? And sometimes you can be too smart, and it can kind of hamper you a little bit. So I think the key for Caleb Williams is just to trust what is what Ben Johnson designs, and basically do it like Jared Goff is somebody who does not try to paint outside the lines or outside the numbers. He just executes what's on the sheet, and he does that very well. And I think Caleb Williams is probably a more talented player than Jared Goff, but I think his best bet is to try to do his best Jared Goff impression, which is just execute what's on the sheet. Because if you do that, it's hard to fail. Ben Johnson is that good of a play caller and a play designer, you know. And if Caleb Williams does that, man, you look at the NFC North. You just have to look at it and go, okay, well, the Vikings went 14-3 or 13-4 last year, whatever it was. Now Sam Darnold's gone. They got a rookie quarterback who's looked shaky in camp, and and the Lions, their issue is that they lost. They lost Ben Johnson. So who knows what I think their new offensive coordinator is named John Morton. But, who knows what their offense is going to look like. I mean, Ben Johnson, I'm sure they'll keep the same formula, but there's no guarantee that it's going to look like it's looked the last couple of years for them. Yeah, of course, Green Bay also. Green Bay still, but once again, Green Bay's not exactly the type of team that you look at and go, you don't fear Green Bay, right? Uh, they've been a playoff team, but you know you don't worry about them like that. But yeah, look at this division. Huh. Minnesota's the one that's really could be in trouble. Uh, and then it's room for growth in that division. If you're the Bears. Uh, Now that ties into something else. Uh, which I saw this YouTube video where it showed every Heisman winner going back to the year 2000, right? And I'm gonna go through each one. Uh, Chris Winkie. Basically, I should, I guess I'll explain my point uh, up front, which is how it's weird how, uh, and I'm just going back to 2000, right? But like how historically, I mean, the Heisman Trophy winner has been somebody. I mean, most Heisman Trophy winners haven't really, done that much in the NFL. Like so for every Marcus Allen, for every O.J. Simpson, or somebody like that, there are two or three or five guys who in the NFL were just ordinary, if at best, players. But just going back to 2000 here, you got Chris Winkie, who didn't do anything in the NFL. Eric Crouch, who didn't do anything in the NFL. Carson Palmer, who was a very good quarterback. Jason White didn't do anything in the NFL. Matt Leinart, sadly, didn't do anything in the NFL. Reggie Bush, pretty good player, better than I think most, like the average, like the more casual fan realizes. Troy Smith didn't do anything in the NFL. Tim Tebow, other than that one like crazy Broncos run in 2011, didn't do anything in the NFL. Sam Bradford was okay, but he had too many injuries and just couldn't stick around. So he basically flamed out due to injuries. Mark Ingram had a good career. Cam Newton had a good career and won an MVP in 2015, but that was really the only year where he put it all together. But yeah, Cam Newton had a good career, really good career, you could say. Carson, I would take. That's a good question. Who had the better career, Carson Palmer or Cam Newton? Carson would finish second in the MVP. I think that was that 2015. I think. The year that they made, whatever year that was, they made the NFC Championship game. And Cam in 2015, the MVP, and then went 15-0, but then lost the Super Bowl. But I almost prefer Carson. I feel like Carson had like Cam had the higher peak, but Carson had the more full career. Then you had RG3, who was the Offensive Rookie of the Year, but then tore his ACL and was never the same. Johnny Manziel, sadly, didn't do anything in the league. Jameis Winston, I don't think anybody doubts that Jameis can play, but he hasn't been a starting quarterback since, when did Brady? His last year as a starting quarterback was 2019. That was a long time ago, So that's that. Marcus Mariota, I think he had 1 year where he threw 26 touchdowns. And 2 years ago, they tried to make him the starter, and any of these quarterbacks, like they were picked highly, they'll get a second chance to start. And Mariota got his second chance in Atlanta, but that didn't work out. And then so now, so that's 2000 through 2014, right? Then in 2015, it's like it changed, right? So Derrick Henry, future Hall of Famer. Lamar Jackson, two-time MVP, future Hall of Fame. Baker Mayfield started out strong, fell off, um, has revitalized his career after I saw somebody on Twitter talk about that. I think he had like 2 days notice. He comes in and starts uh, for the Rams and leads the game-winning drive, and that turned his career uh, back around. And now he's the franchise quarterback with the Buccaneers. So Baker Mayfield's having a darn good career. Uh, Kyler Murray, somebody who, I mean, when he I mean, they haven't done anything since he's been there in Arizona. But if you just turn your TV on randomly one Sunday, and the Cardinals are playing on Fox or something like that, you're like, damn, this Kyler Murray kid is cold, and he is cold. They just might be too small for you to win games with him as a starting quarterback. But obviously he's better than damn near any of those other quarterbacks who won the Heisman between 2000 and 2014 in the NFL. Then you got Joe Burrow, who obviously has been outstanding, and he's on a Super Bowl pace. Devontae Smith, not an All-Pro, but certainly a Pro Bowl receiver and a Super Bowl champion. Bryce Young, so it's looking like Bryce Young was like a throwback, one of these guys who did great things in college, and then in the NFL he just didn't have it, right? Too small, didn't have a strong enough arm. But he actually, he's kind of righted the ship a little bit, and so maybe he won't be the first quarterback since Marcus Mariota to flop in the NFL. Then you have Caleb, right? Who I was just talking about. Who, the jury is still out on him, on Bryce. Jaden Daniels, who obviously had such a great rookie year and led the Commanders to the NFC Championship game. We'll see if he can, keep that momentum going. But obviously he had a great rookie year. And you have Travis Hunter, who, we'll see what he does. Obviously an amazing talent, right? But we'll see. We have to see what happens. But yeah, I just thought that is fascinating, because once upon a time, it was like the Heisman Trophy was, more often than not, it wasn't actually a good sign of what you were going to do in the NFL, and then that changed about 10 years ago, basically. And it's kind of, you pretty much had, 6 straight guys without a miss, and then Bryce Young, and we'll have to see. Caleb will have to see. Jaden Daniels off to a great start, and Travis Hunter will have to see. But I think it was interesting. I think the reason is because, as David Galvis used to say, he told me once, he pointed out that, I think Galvis said that like they used to take the quarterbacks, right? And they would try to fit the quarterback. There could be some quarterback who ran like the option in college or something like that. And then they would take him in the NFL and try to, fit him inside this NFL pro style offense, which didn't make any sense. And then now what they do is they do the opposite. They take they tailor the offense that they're running in the NFL to the style of play that the quarterbacks played in college. So I think that's one of the reasons why you see that. and obviously it makes more sense. And I think Urban Meyer, when Urban Meyer was at Florida, I think Urban Meyer was a trailblazer, bro, because he was running that spread offense at Florida, and the Patriots started running it, and that was when the Patriots went 16-0. That was they had adopted that style of play, that type of offense, and then everything that you've seen since then, as far as the NFL copying from the college game, it kind of started there. But I think that's why you see more um, quarterbacks, especially, and basically the quarterback, the Heisman these days is a quarterback award. Out of the last, going back to 2016, out of the last 9 Heisman winners, 7 of them have been quarterbacks. If you go back further than that to 2010, that means out of the last 15, only one. So Henry, Smith, and Hunter. That's 12 out of the last team players who went Heisman. Damn, isn't it? So out of the last 25 Heisman winners, the only non-quarterbacks were Reggie Bush, Mark Ingram, uh, Derrick Henry, Devontae Smith, and Travis Hunter. That's 20 out of the last 25. So, yeah, I think they figured out that you don't take, like if they were, today, if somebody like, it's different, like somebody like Eric Crouch, or, Johnny Football, if they were drafted today, they might have better luck because it'll be understood. Well, you have to run a type of offense that this kid feels comfortable in, instead of taking him in and try to stick a square peg in a round hole. Let's see here. I think I want to talk about. So something strange happened, which is that for some reason, an old Howard Stern show clip resurfaced. Back in the day, I think this was the Artie Lang era, where they did the Butterface thing, right? So they had, and it was like, first it was just like, because the woman who they showed in the clip, she wasn't a Butterface, she wasn't a dime piece, she was about a solid 6, like she was the type that today, Kevin Samuels, he said, rest in peace, he said that Sweetie was an adjustable 6, which was kind of ridiculous. Sweetie's naturally like a 9, if we're being honest. And that was one of the few things that Kevin Samuels said that I couldn't. I was like, come on, Kevin, you tweaking. But I think that this girl, the girl in the clip, she was, today they would call her mid, but if she fixed up and did her hair and knew what the right angles and stuff like that, she might get a decent response on social media. That's what these women know how to do. And so, but basically, at first that was the initial reaction, and then it was like what the hell? They're like, people on social media were like, what the hell, man? What type of segment was this, right? And it was weird because it's like, it's somebody who, I was born in '88, and it's like, when I was coming up, I remember the Stern Show as a kid when it would be on E, and I would watch. They'd have I think it would be from 11 to 12. It'd be 2 30-second block, 2 30-minute blocks, right? And basically, basically highlights from the show. I don't know if it'd be that day or whatever it was. They have one 30-minute episode and then another one right after it, and then it would go to Brooke Burke, who was super hot back then. She would do this travel show on E. And, it's weird because, it's Gen Z just now realizing that that's what what the Howard Stern show, why that show was, mattered in the first place. Like, yeah, bro, Howard Stern. I know now these days Howard is like a liberal, Trump bashing, PC guy. I don't watch the show anymore, but I know it's not like it used to be. It couldn't be in today's, climate. But yeah, guys, that's what the Howard Stern show was. There used to be this thing that was called a shock jock. Howard Stern was a shock jock. Opie and Anthony, they were shock jocks. Uh, Don Imus was a shock jock. And, I never listened to Don Imus. Of course, we know what Don Imus is. Gen Z would probably be shocked if they heard what Don Imus was known for or what he became infamous for. But, I was a big Opie and Anthony fan, kind of like after the fact almost. Like when I discovered Patrice O'Neal, that's when I went backwards and started listening to old Opie and Anthony stuff. And they would have, the Stellar Crowd on there. That was Patrice, rest in peace, and Colin Quinn and Jim Norton. He was the third chair on Opie and Anthony, and Nick DiPaolo and all these different guys like that, right? And basically Opie and Anthony were like they were like the Stern show, but Stern was Stern is the ultimate, the mega, right? The Don Mega, as Ice Cube would say. And like I said, Stern was the face of radio basically for years. Insane ratings, made it as it commanded a insane salary, which really has continued into the serious satellite era. But yeah, man, that if people don't know the Howard Stern show, that's what the Howard Stern show was. It was hijinks, and it was trashy, like lowbrow humor, and I say that in like the fondest way possible because I love the Howard Stern show. So many great. I mean, oh my goodness, and of course, being in LA, I don't know. I never had Sirius Satellite, so I was more of a. Um, and then Sirius Satellite was more like in the second half of the Stern show run. I don't remember which year he actually got there, um, but I was somebody who like I said, I would watch on E as a kid, and then there's so many clips on YouTube, you know, but just the all the different hijinks and the pranks and the bits that they would do on that show, and the way that Howard would, how basically what Howard would do is Howard would, use the people, on the show as like content for the show, and like turning them against each other and using their whatever like workplace drama and stuff in their personal life. He would turn that into content for the show, and you had all types of oddball characters. You had Beetlejuice, you had Jeff the Drunk, you had Hank the Dwarf, you had Elliot Offen. Those were the Whack Packers, and he would do all type of stuff on that show. He'd have Carmen Electra and all these different raws on there, and they'd show their tits and they'd ride to Sibian. He'd have porn stars on there, all types of stuff, you know, and it was great, man. And I remember Howard was talking to Bill O'Reilly once, and he said um, that his show, um, he said that the people who like his show will listen for 2 hours. The people who hate his show will listen for 3. And the reason that his show was so successful is because he told the truth, and the point of the show was not all the silly like crude humor and stuff like that. It was for the guy, you know, who drives a truck for 16 hours a day, and that guy wants to be able to turn his radio on in the morning, and he wants to be able to hear somebody tell the truth. I forget what else he said, but basically that was what made Stern so big. That was his appeal, and it was a show for regular guys, and yeah. So for Gen Z now to turn around and try to act like they're outraged, it's like stick it, as the late great Hulk Hogan would say. Whatever the standards you have for people now, you know, socially, society-wise. They didn't exist back then. The standards now are stupid. Everything was way better back then. And Howard Stern was the hero, you know? They used to try to get on Stern back then and try to, censor him and all this different stuff. And he was a champion, man. That was what he represented was free speech, and it was sad actually to see Howard become, PC liberal over the years. But I think he did that because he had to survive. It's weird. Eminem did the same thing. These are guys who, when I was a kid, they were representing free speech. I can say what I want, and that's what they were in it for. And then they changed, which is unfortunate. But you always remember them for what they were at their best, you know. But yeah, man, just for that, man, I'm gonna spend the rest of my night looking at old clips of the old Stern show, you know. Of course, I'm more of an Artie era guy because that's when I was, when Jackie was on there. And I know most people overall, of course, it's like the younger you are, the more likely like if you're like my age, like millennial, you're more likely to be an Artie era guy. And the guys who are older, go way back, they're more likely to be the Jackie era guy. I think most people overall would say the Jackie era was better, just because I mean, I think that's how people tend to look at things. Like the original incarnation was like the best, and obviously Jackie was great, but for me, when I was started to become of age and watching the show and stuff like that, that was the Artie era, and there was just there's so much great content. So once again, Gen Z and anybody else who's acting like they're like outraged at that Butterface clip and what the Stern Show used to be. You can kiss my ass. You can kiss Howard's ass too. You can kiss Robin's ass. All right, so before I get out of here, just a reminder to hit that subscribe button next to the Complete Podcast Network and to follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at TC Pod Network. You can also send feedback and mailbag questions to Complete Lakers Podcast at gmail.com. I am out.